Hey comic book fans! Back in 2017, LEGO Batman director Chris McKay was announced to be directing a live-action Nightwing movie. Unfortunately, fast forward the timeline to the year 2021, and we still had no real concrete updates on the project whatsoever. Me, as a diehard Dick Grayson and Nightwing fan, kinda got impatient with just like, you know what? Let me pitch my ideal Nightwing movie. So that led to the pitching a Nightwing movie, then because you guys seem to like that one a lot, led to pitching a Nightwing movie part 2. So now, for the 40th anniversary of the debut of Nightwing, I thought now's the perfect time to close out this trilogy with pitching a Nightwing movie part 3, also known as the big ol' finale. If you haven't seen parts 1 and 2, or it's been a while, here's a little recap of our story so far.
Alfred says he would love for Master Grayson to stay, but he understands the desire for an individual to forge his own path. Therefore, Bruce will not be there to say goodbye when Dick leaves the mansion. A few days later, we're gonna have Dick meet up with an old friend that may be difficult to pull off, but I want it regardless. Superman. Why Bloodhaven? Asks Superman. In ancient Kryptonian lore, there's a hero cast out of his family as well. What was his name? We never found out his real name, but roughly translated, the name he used was Nightwing. Stepping out of the shadows is a massive gray hulking figure, Blockbuster. A circus for the first date? A bit outside the norm, isn't it? Bridget says teasingly. Believe it or not, this is where I grew up. And I may or may not still know the guy that runs it. If you're looking for a job, you've always got family here. So, who's the jackwagon shaking down a circus for protection money? Tell your boss, this town is under my protection, not his. Tell him Nightwing is coming for him.
Well, if that's how our new friend wants to play things, so be it.
The police radio blares.
We've got an 1171, massive fire down on Dixon Pier, suspected arson.
He rushes to the big top, which is now completely ablaze. Inside, under some rubble, is the body of Mr. Haley, gasping for air. With his last breath, Mr. Haley slips away in Dick's arms. Before passing out, Dick sees the silhouette of Superman in the sky coming towards him. Alfred comforts Dick by saying he's seen this before. Believe it or not, Master Wayne used to say the same thing about you, Master Dick. You aren't as dissimilar as you like to think. You made a mistake, but are you going to let that be your last? He opens a panel to reveal the classic black and blue Nightwing suit, following in the grand superhero movie tradition of suit upgrades later in the movie. Nightwing goes to confront Blockbuster face to face. The two go head to head in a battle of strengths. As Nightwing says this, he dodges out of the way of another Blockbuster attack, which sends Blockbuster through yet another support beam. He receives some interesting mail. Dick finds he got some mail from Haley Circus. Opening it up, he discovers the last will and testament of Mr. Haley, gifting the circus to Dick. Keep honoring them. I'm proud of you.
In the past 2 years, crime and the methods of criminals have only escalated. Dick is still working at the Bloodhaven Police Department and is now paired with Officer Rohrbach. Emerging from one of the shadows is a man Torque has never seen before. A man decked out head to toe in tactical gear and sporting an orange and black mask.
And I think you're just the man I need for a very lucrative business opportunity.
A mysterious figure leaps into action to turn the fight in the cop's favor. The mysterious combatant is decked out in all black, with his face obscured with a solid black mask. They help Dick and Amy to their feet, but disappear before the cops can ask them any questions. That night, Nightwing heads out to try and get some information about the new masked figure in town.
My name is Wilson. Slade Wilson. And I believe that together, you and I can make it a safe place again.
However, when things look the most dire for our boy in blue, who should show up in full gear but Slade Wilson? The two work surprisingly well together. Slade then once again asks Dick if he wants to work together to take down Torque. Dick reluctantly agrees that a second pair of eyes would be helpful. With that, Slade begins introducing Dick to some new, albeit more aggressive, combat styles to use while out on patrol. Nightwing leaps into action to protect his new partner, but breaks the crook's arm in the process. We see in a montage this recurring cycle of Nightwing and Slade going to various locations, shaking down the thugs, and trying to find Torque. All the while, Dick is getting more and more violent. Because of Slade's influence, Dick is becoming more and more like Batman, the one person he swore he'd never become.
I just got done with this little project I've been working on and I want you to have it.
He unveils a new suit for Nightwing, except the classic blue has been replaced with a dark shade of red. With a heavy sigh, Dick reaches for the classic blue suit and puts it away in favor of the new red one. Arriving at the location Slade gave him, Nightwing does some quick recon. Surprisingly, there are no guards or even henchmen. It's just Torque, all by himself. Nightwing lunges at Torque and proceeds to viciously attack him. He takes him to the ground and starts to unleash his newfound aggression on the man that has made him run in circles for months. With each passing punch, it gets more and more uncomfortable to watch. You can't change this city, but I'm glad to see that it's finally changing you. A slight mechanical noise comes out of Torque's neck brace. The brace was booby-trapped and the trap has been sprung, resulting in small blades on the inside going into the now dead mobster's neck. This just in, known gangster Dudley Soames, aka Torque, has been murdered tonight. The culprit? None other than Bloodhaven's own vigilante, Nightwing.
How could you betray me? I thought we were working together to clean up this city.
Because it's only ever been about you.
This whole time, Slade has been planning and picking the right moment to strike. Deathstroke, tired of playing around, produces his signature sword, ready to end the fight. Slowly bleeding out, Dick collapses to the floor. He sees a lone cop car pull up. Dick finds himself in a random house, as Amy Rohrbach emerges with some ice packs and medicine. She says Slade has been in his head ever since he showed up. Dick needs to find a way to get into Slade's head for a change. Can you send something to Bloodhaven for me as quick as possible? I'm feeling a little nostalgic. In an attempt to play mind games with Deathstroke, Dick is sporting his old Robin costume. Now, with Slade being the emotionally compromised one, Nightwing goes on the offensive, mixing up his styles using a combination of his older Batman-taught techniques and his newer, more aggressive fighting style.
But deep down we know, you're just another Batman in waiting.
I'm not you, and I'm sure as hell not Batman. As Amy leaves, Dick heads to his room and pulls out a box containing his classic black and blue Nightwing suit. After a moment of contemplation, he puts the suit back where it was, feeling as though he is unworthy of it. He feels lost and defeated, and like any child who has lost their way, the only place he knows to go is home, as he passes a sign for Gotham City. I've had such a blast making these, and I really hope you guys have enjoyed watching them. Without further ado, here's how I would pitch a Nightwing Movie Trilogy Finale. Our story opens 15 years in the past, at an all too familiar circus, Haley's Circus, the home of the Flying Graysons. A young Dick Grayson is practicing routines with his parents, getting ready to make his debut in front of a live audience. The only problem is, he's getting some serious stage fright, coupled with the fact that even after weeks of practice, he still can't seem to hit his big aerial maneuver, the Phoenix Flight. After yet another failed attempt at the move, the dejected young Grayson goes over to the bleachers for a rest and to clear his head. Seeing all this, Dick's father John goes over to comfort him. You know, it's okay to be nervous. Fear is a good motivator so long as you don't let it control you. Are you ever afraid, Dad? More than you'd think, kiddo, John says with a comforting smile. Did I ever tell you about my first show? Back in high school, our school was doing a production of Robin Hood. I was kind of an unmotivated bum at the time, but that all changed when I saw a cute girl trying out for the role of Maid Marian. Naturally, I tried out for the lead so as to win her over. Probably out of a sense of cruel irony, the drama teacher cast me as Little John instead. Fast forward to opening night, and I'm this close to hurling backstage. That's when Maid Marian saw me and gave me some great advice. What did she say? I told him it's okay to have butterflies in your stomach. They're just there to remind you that you can fly, says Mary Grayson, Dick's mom, and one-time Maid Marian. Good grief, that line actually worked on Dad? Ish. But the rest is history. The moral of the story, Dick, is that it's okay to be nervous. Failure is scary. Thankfully, there's more to learn from failure than there is from success. So when you fall, be ready to turn it into a chance to fly. So what do you say, kiddo? Are you ready to fly? Dick smiles as we zoom out to see the circus, full of other performers, getting ready for the big night. We then cut to the present time, where the same circus is completely empty and totally abandoned. Remember towards the end of part 1, Blockbuster attacked Haley's Circus and nearly burned it to the ground. At the end of the movie, Mr. Haley gave the circus to Dick. However, Dick doesn't know what to do with it, so the property and all the performers have just been left by the wayside. Having been broken down emotionally and physically by Deathstroke in our previous movie, Dick sits alone in the circus, reminiscing about the better times. After a few more minutes of grief and isolation, Dick leaves the circus to make his way back to Gotham. Back home. He arrives back in Wayne Manor, and in a mirror of our Part 1, the only person to greet him is Alfred. Alfred says he heard about everything that went down in Bloodhaven, and that he's sorry Dick had to go through all that. He says Dick is more than welcome to stay at the manor as long as he needs. Are you sure the big guy won't mind? He and I haven't really talked since... well, you know. I'll make sure he doesn't give you a hard time. In all honesty, he'll probably be happy to see you. In his own way. After a few days alone at the manor, Dick is flipping through the news channels when he sees a headline that immediately grabs his attention.
Infamous Gotham mobster Tony Zuko was found dead last night from an apparent suicide. Zuko was recently released from Gotham prison, having served over a decade-long sentence for extortion and connection to the murder of the local performers John and Mary Grayson.
In that moment, a million emotions go through Dick's head. Utter shock at the sudden passing, and maybe even the slightest bit of warped satisfaction that the man that took his family away from him is now gone forever. But after taking a moment to collect himself and his morality, his overriding emotion is one of guilt. He gets flashbacks to the death of Torque, another villain he so thoroughly hated, but wanted to see face justice the right way, only for them to wind up dead. Possibly out of a sense of righting a perceived wrong, Dick decides he needs to look into the death of Tony Zuko himself. It all just seems too convenient that as soon as Zuko is released, he just happens to wind up dead. But in order to get to the bottom of this, Dick is going to have to go to the one place and talk to the one person he's been avoiding for years. The Batcave and Batman. For our Nightwing arc these past two movies, there's been this unresolved tension between Nightwing and Batman, stemming from a falling out before the events of our first film. This time around, the conflict that we've been brewing in the background will finally come to a head. By forcing Dick to confront his past, he can then learn to grow and rebuild himself into something better than he ever was before. As he makes his way down to the Batcave, Dick finds that Batman is already there, seemingly waiting for him. No, I know what you're gonna say, Dick, but no, you cannot be involved with this case. Even if you were in the right headspace, you're too emotionally connected to Zuko to be an unbiased piece of this puzzle, Batman tells Dick condescendingly. Look, there's no one on Earth that hated Tony Zuko for his past sins more than me, but even I say that death is too extreme for that scum. Our job is justice, not vengeance. We made sure Zuko got justice for killing my parents. Now someone's gone too far, and I need to know who and how to stop them from killing again. Or is it you trying to clear your conscience for what happened to Torque? Dick hangs his head in shame, unable to answer. Alfred gives Bruce a look somewhere between disappointment and encouragement, trying to intervene on Dick's behalf without saying as much. After taking a pause, Bruce reluctantly says that he'll let Dick help with the investigation, but he has to follow his lead to the letter. It's at this point Dick remembers he doesn't actually have a crime-fighting outfit anymore. Remember that he ditched his blue suit when Deathstroke gave him the booby-trapped red one. Not wanting to don a Robin suit yet again, or heaven forbid a spare bat suit, he cobbles together some generic black gear and a mask for going out on patrol. It'll be similar to his very first suit we had him use in Part 1, and also helps visually show that he doesn't really fit into any clear-cut identity at the moment. And by and large, this will be the outfit he'll be sporting for most of the movie. With his new gear in tow, Nightwing and Batman go out on patrol together, for the first time in years. The two head to the scene of the crime to gather any clues the police might have missed. According to the autopsy report, Zuko had a heavy dose of hallucinogens in his system when he died. Whoever took him out wanted him to come across like a madman, meaning he probably knew or saw something he shouldn't, and someone went to great lengths to shut him up, Batman says. When they arrive at the crime scene, nothing seems out of the norm, just an otherwise undisturbed room. However, while digging for clues, Dick stumbles upon something very much out of the norm. He finds a huge feather, probably belonging to an owl or some other large bird. Zuko doesn't strike you as much of a pet guy, right? Upon seeing the feather, Batman's demeanor changes from stoic to one of great concern. Nightwing, listen to me. If that is what I think it is, we've stumbled onto something a whole lot bigger than the assassination of a former mob boss. Something you don't need to be involved with. What's that supposed to mean? If there's something larger at play, you're gonna need me. You can't bench me when you need me the most. Not again. The two men get into a shouting match as they exchange heated words when all of a sudden, a masked figure comes crashing through the window. The figure is decked out in all black, with his mask concealing his entire face, with big goggles for the eyes. I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say this is the dude we're looking for, right? Here we get our first big action scene of the movie, as it's essentially a 2-on-1 fight with Nightwing and Batman versus this new mystery figure. However, the fight won't go the way you'd expect. Since Nightwing and Batman haven't fought together in so long, they've gotten accustomed to working alone, as opposed to working with a partner. This results in the two heroes constantly miscommunicating and getting in each other's way. A fight that should be fairly simple for two master fighters is drastically more difficult because of the two's lack of chemistry. Added is the fact that this mystery figure is a skilled fighter in their own right, countering every move and landing some critical strikes of his own. Whoever this new enemy is, they're unlike anything either Nightwing or Batman have faced before. With the fight spilling to the outside, the assailant starts to run as we get a brief chase scene through Gotham. After a few minutes, the mystery man is able to slip away from our heroes, leaving more questions than answers to our mystery. Back at the Batcave, Dick is desperate for answers, feeling completely out of the loop. Here's where we get our big exposition dump as Bruce gets Dick, and therefore the audience, up to speed on the real threat for our movie. What we saw tonight was a myth, an urban legend, a bedtime story that people tell their kids to get them to behave. What we saw was a Talon, enforcer for the Court of Owls. Seeing a look of confusion and disbelief on Dick's face, Bruce explains the Court of Owls. He says that the court is an urban legend as old as the city of Gotham itself, and according to legend, has been secretly running the city from the shadows for centuries. They're made up of the city's most powerful families and individuals, and have ultimate say on everything in Gotham. If anyone tries to change their plans, step out of line, or expose them, they send a Talon to take care of the problem. Essentially, these guys are Gotham's version of the Illuminati. So assuming I believe these myths, and the court has been around for centuries, why are we only just now finding out anything about them? Why now? I'm not sure, and that's what makes me worried. However, his tone of voice seems to vaguely hint that he might know more than he lets on. We get a montage of Batman and Nightwing working together again, beating up goons and tracking down any possible leads on the court. We can use this montage to accomplish two things: get more exposition and info on the court, but also get more info on what the days of Batman and Robin were like. Dick could reminisce about specific missions or D-tier villains that barely pose a threat. He starts to remember that not everything about being Batman's sidekick was so bad. Over the course of several weeks, we have the two men start to slowly rebuild their fractured relationship, and therefore start to get their team mojo back. Their team chemistry improves and makes them even more efficient at taking down thugs. At one point, as a sign of extending an olive branch, Batman even lets Nightwing take lead on taking down a crime hotspot. We could have a really fun, large-scale action scene different from anything we've seen from our previous Nightwing movies. We could have a massive hand-to-hand fight scene with countless thugs, but see it from the perspective of partners trying to watch each other's backs. Double the heroes, double the criminals. We also finally get to see Batman in action, someone whose fighting style is different from Dick's, but you can clearly see where Dick got some of his combat inspirations from. After clearing the room, we could have some fun with Batman and Nightwing embracing the good cop, bad cop stereotype. What do you know about the Court of Owls? Batman demands in an almost over-the-top, gruff manner. I swear I don't know nothing. I swear. And even if I did, I'm way more afraid of them than I am of you, says the clearly intimidated thug. Are you sure, man? You seem like a half-decent guy just hanging out with the wrong crowds. I'd hate for you to end up like the last guy, Dick says sarcastically. Batman, do you remember the last guy? I remember what's left of him, says Batman, clearly picking up on Dick's interrogation strategy. All I know is they supposedly have something to do with that old abandoned manor house near Perez Plaza. You gotta believe me. Don't let them know I told you anything. They have eyes and ears everywhere. The next night, Nightwing and Batman make their way to the manor house to finally get some answers about the Court of Owls. Before they go in, Dick stops Bruce. Hey, so neither of us have been particularly good with words, so I'll keep it short. I didn't know how it would feel coming back to Gotham, and especially working with you again. After the whole Slade thing, I felt lost. Long story short, I've really appreciated working with you again. Bruce stands there, not really saying anything. After a long pause, he says, Dick, before we go in there, I have something to tell you. He takes a deep breath, but for some reason, holds back what he was going to say. Eventually, he just says, let's go. We can talk later. The duo make their way into the manor, only to find it's surprisingly well kept. While the outside is run down and decrepit, the inside is nearly spotless. This place clearly hasn't been as abandoned as the facade would indicate, but someone has gone to great lengths to make it look like it has been. After investigating the whole house, Nightwing and Batman discover a secret entrance to what appears to be some sort of tunnel system. They descend the tunnel stairs, seeing what looks like a light source at the end. The two men look at each other and nod, fully acknowledging that this could be a trap. They enter a circular room that almost looks like some kind of arena. At the top of the arena, all the way around, sits masked figures staring down at our heroes, dressed in fancy suits and gowns and donning featureless white masks. The Court of Owls have arrived, and the court is in session. One of the unknown figures, presumably the leader, stands up to address Batman and Nightwing.
Welcome, heroes. We've been expecting you. In all honesty, it took you longer than we anticipated. Then again, the Waynes were never as smart as they like to believe.
Batman stares back at the leader, a scowl now on his face.
Don't act so surprised, Bruce. Gotham has belonged to the court long before you, and there is nothing that happens in this city without our approval or knowledge.
Does that include the assassination of Tony Zuko? Nightwing says, inserting himself into the conversation.
Ah, Mr. Grayson, the man we've been wanting to meet. We thought you, of all people, would appreciate Mr. Zuko no longer being a part of the equation. That is why he was chosen. Chosen for a specific purpose.
As the leader says this, the masked assailant Batman and Nightwing fought at the scene of the crime emerges from the shadows and stands next to the head of the court.
Mr. Wayne, Mr. Grayson, I believe you've met the Talon for the Court of Owls.
The head of the court goes on to explain that Talons are basically highly skilled assassins that work solely for the court, doing their dirty work and silencing anyone that threatens them. Think along the lines of Winter Soldiers from Captain America, but way, way worse.
Mr. Zuko was a much-needed target because at the present moment, he was the one that would best be suited to start the chain of events that would result in the outcome that we have so desperately desired.
And what outcome is that? Nightwing asks.
The prodigal son returning home and leading Gotham into a new era.
Nightwing looks confused by this, not understanding what the court is getting at. At the same time, Talon also looks slightly confused by this revelation.
For as long as the court has ruled over Gotham, we have had a Talon to lead and execute the will of the court. Individuals that are trained from an early age in many fields, so as to get them the most prepared when they come of age. Sadly, 15 years ago we thought we lost our chosen champion forever when their path diverted from the one we had chosen for them. But we have been waiting in the wing for the right moment, the right time to welcome home our champion. So allow us to say, welcome home, Dick Grayson. Right hand to the Court of Owls.
Dick stands in utter disbelief, unable to comprehend, let alone believe anything the head of the court says. You're lying! My parents were never a part of any crazy cult.
While your parents may not have known of us, that does not mean what I'm saying is any less true. We've used Haley's Circus for decades as a way to find the best possible candidates for Talons. All your training was the foundation of what you could someday become. And now, the time has come for you to take your place as the hand of the court and lead Gotham into a new, prosperous era.
That's enough, Batman says.
Oh, we think not, Mr. Wayne. The court never forgets, even if you try to. Would you like to explain to Mr. Grayson the part you play in this story?
Let me guess, your great master plan was ruined the night my parents died and Bruce took me in. Yeah, I kinda pieced that one together. Nightwing. Don't, Batman says in a hushed tone.
The truth really is a matter of perspective and the illusion that you have the whole story. But Mr. Grayson, allow me to give you the piece that's been withheld from you in this tale. Our history of Talons is an utmost secret to all. To all except one. When Mr. Wayne brought you in after the death of your parents, it wasn't out of the goodness of his heart. He knew what your destiny was set to be and wanted to use you and your unique skills as a tool for his crusade. He didn't care what happened to your parents. He only saw an opportunity, and he took it.
Nightwing looks at Batman, hoping to see in him some form of denial, but sees Batman with his head held low, seemingly confirming the court's claims. You. How could you? How could you keep this from me? All these years, and you were keeping this from me? I trusted you! Batman pleads with Nightwing to trust him and stay focused. He says they can talk about this later. For now, they have a job to do. But Nightwing isn't having it and lunges at the head of the court. Unfazed, the head of the court orders Talon to defend him. Talon hesitates for a moment before leaping into action. Batman and Nightwing are forced to rematch with their new foe. Except this time, both men are emotionally compromised and are in no state to be able to work together effectively. It's almost as if Nightwing is fighting both Talon and Batman because he can't think clearly and he no longer knows who to trust. As the fight progresses, Talon is slowly splitting our heroes up, trying to take them down individually. He now has Nightwing on the ropes, both literally and figuratively, as Talon is backing Nightwing over what appears to be a trapdoor. Tired and run down, Nightwing attempts one final attack on Talon, lunging at him with everything he's got. Unfortunately, Talon catches him and sticks him with a concealed needle. Nightwing starts to lose consciousness as Talon throws him down into wherever the trapdoor leads. When Nightwing comes to, he finds himself in what appears to be a massive cave of some kind. Here we can have a bit of fun thematic storytelling, very similar to the cave scene in Empire Strikes Back, where Luke has to confront his inner darkness. How we do that for Nightwing is that in addition to knocking Dick out, the needle that Talon hit him with contains the same hallucinogen that was found in Tony Zuko. This allows for some cool out-of-body character moments that thrust our character even further down the dark rabbit hole. We start with Nightwing back in uniform, but not the nondescript black one he's been sporting for most of this movie. Instead, he's back wearing the red suit that Deathstroke gave him. Dick knows he's disoriented, but all he can focus on for now is a way out of this giant cavernous maze he finds himself in. A loud, booming voice echoes throughout the cave.
You can't run from what you are. You can't outrun the sins of your past.
As Dick looks around for the voice, his costume changes again. This time, from the red suit to an unmasked version of the Talon suit.
You are what we chose you to be. Don't deny your true destiny. Come back to where you truly belong. Bruce never cared about you. He only wanted a successor.
Dick's outfit changes again, but this time from the Talon suit to the Bat suit.
Maybe in another world you could have made a good Batman. Maybe even better than him. But we know that's not you. We know you better than you know yourself. So ask yourself, Mr. Grayson, who do you think you are?
I'm not him, but I'm not your puppet either, Nightwing screams out into the void.
Maybe they were wrong about you after all. Maybe you aren't their grand champion. Maybe you were just a scared boy playing dress-up, hoping someone will notice him.
As the voice says this, we as the audience see Dick change one last time. Except this time, it's not just a costume change. We see a young version of Dick, decked out in his Robin gear. Enough of the mind games! Let's settle this face to face! A shadowy figure starts to make their way down the tunnel towards Robin. To Robin's relief, the figure is that of Batman. There you are! What happened? One minute we're getting beat up by tall, dark, and creepy, then all of a sudden you abandoned me. Look, Bruce, the thing hit me with something gnarly and I really need to get out of here. So you can either help me, or you can get out of the way. I thought I trained you better than that. Now you need someone to come save you every time you get in over your head? When you try to fight Blockbuster, Superman had to come save you. When you tried to fight Deathstroke, your partner had to come save you. When are you gonna start picking yourself up? Batman looks down at Dick, still visually in his Robin gear, with disdain. You were such a disappointment. And with that, Batman decks Robin, causing him to drop to the ground. With a stunned look on his face, Dick hurries back to his feet to defend himself. What's gotten into you, Bruce? Batman continues to go on the offensive, overpowering Dick with his sheer size and brutality. I'm just realizing that you've been the one holding me back all this time. I never needed you. I thought that together we could fix Gotham, but instead you ran away and washed out. If only your parents could see what a failure their son has become. Badly beaten, Dick looks up and sees the truth. The figure that he thought was Batman slowly transforms into the Talon. Talon has been manipulating Dick this whole time to break Nightwing both physically and mentally.
You're no great champion at all. Talon is an honor bestowed to the few, and you spit on its legacy. The court will see that there's only one Talon to lead Gotham into its glory.
Nightwing, now visually back in his nondescript black suit, tries his best to fight back, but it's no use. he has nothing left. Beaten and battered, Nightwing is carried by Talon to what looks like the exit of the cave, overlooking a body of water. Talon throws Dick over and into the watery depths below, leaving him for dead. Nightwing tries his best to stay above the water, being carried downstream. Eventually, Dick washes ashore and collapses from exhaustion. 2 days later, Batman tries to contact Nightwing. He tells Alfred that he's been trying to get a hold of him ever since the incident with the Court of Owls. Alfred suggests that Dick probably doesn't want to talk to Bruce because he worries he can't trust him. I didn't get a chance to tell him the whole story. I never knew what the right time was, and now it's all blown up in my face. I was lucky to have him come home once. I don't think it'll happen again. Alfred then does what he always does best: impart fatherly wisdom. He tells Bruce that in time, Dick will understand that Bruce was only trying to protect him, and that things will only get better for it. He says that Bruce is far from perfect, but he should be incredibly proud of the man he raised Dick to be. Alfred says that what Dick needs right now is some time to heal, both mentally and physically. Bruce agrees, but he still wants some assurances that Dick is okay, so he picks up the phone. Hey, it's me. I need you to find Dick and make sure he's okay. Talk to him. I know he'll listen. He's always respected you. After a few moments, the voice on the other end agrees. Thanks. I appreciate it. We find Dick all alone on the outskirts of the city, as he's wondering what to do next, if there even is a what's next. Who should appear but Superman? I think this could be a fun full circle moment, as we had Dick come to Superman for advice in our first movie, and now he can come back one more time at the end of our story. Let me guess. Bruce sent you here to check up on me, Dick says skeptically. Yes and no. Yeah, he asked me to see how you were doing, but there's also some news I wanted to tell you first. Lois and I are expecting our first child, Clark says. He says that he's nervous about fatherhood, worried he'll screw something up or do something wrong. If anyone is dad material, Clark, it's you. Trust me, I've been around the type that wasn't long enough to know. Clark takes a moment to think before responding. I understand you, probably in a different way than Bruce ever could. He only ever knew one family. You and I, on the other hand, have had two families. The one that birthed us, and the one that raised us. Don't get it twisted. Both of them love us very much. He may not show it well, but Bruce does care about you, Dick. All fathers care for their sons. Dick reflects on what Clark says before attempting to deflect the conversation. So have you guys picked out a name yet? We decided to name him after my dad. John. Dick offers up a half smile, remembering his own father. That's a good name. With his guard now down, Dick tells Clark everything that's happened the past few months. He tells him about teaming up with Deathstroke and how it was only to hurt him, and it left him so unsure of himself. He tells him about coming back to Gotham, hoping to figure it out when the whole Court of Owls thing dropped on him. Now he feels more lost and confused than ever. You know, our line of work can take its toll. There are plenty of times I feel so overwhelmed. It's times like that I go back to the Fortress or Smallville to keep myself grounded and find my balance again. So ask yourself, Dick, what's your Smallville? Dick explains that growing up with his parents, they were always on the road performing, so they never actually had a place to call home. Well, sounds to me like you found your answer there. Dick then heads to the one place he needs to go above everywhere else, the place that started everything. But more importantly, it's the one place Dick can go to truly find himself again. Haley's Circus. Remember that at the end of our first Nightwing movie pitch, Blockbuster set the circus on fire and tried to destroy it and ended up killing the owner, Mr. Haley. In his will, Mr. Haley gifted the circus to Dick to run and maintain. We neglected that element for our part 2 so that we could bring it back here, similar to how Dick also neglected the circus. The circus can now act as great symbolism. Just like our main protagonist, it's something that's been through the ringer and can only regain its former glory once time and effort has been put into repairing it. It can also be about Dick reclaiming part of his story, using a place that was meant to weaponize him as a place to heal himself and become whole again. The first thing he works on is repairing some of the basic trapeze equipment so he can run old circus drills to clear his mind. As he does, old memories of flying side by side with his parents come flooding back. He remembers the joys of leaping into action and hearing the roar of the crowd. He remembers back to trying to hit his big move, the Phoenix Flight, but never quite getting it. He thinks back to his parents' advice. Failure is scary,
Thankfully, there's more to learn from failure than there is from success. So when you fall, be ready to turn it into a chance to fly. Dick spends the next several days and weeks, slowly but surely, repairing Haley's circus. All the while, healing himself physically and mentally, bringing himself back to balance. A short while later, Bruce finally shows up to talk to Dick to resolve everything once and for all. A moment that we've been building towards since our first movie.
This place looks a lot different than last time I was here. Heard the management really let this place go,
Bruce says in an attempt to break the ice. Humor has never been your strong suit. Stick with cold and distant.
Let me guess. Clark tell you where I was? Didn't have to. Give me a little credit. I do know you better than you think. Apparently better than I know myself.
Be honest with me, Bruce. Were you ever going to tell me about the court on your own? Or were you just hoping if you never mentioned it, it would make it not true? Bruce stands in silence, not really knowing how best to answer. I get that secrets are just par for the course for this family, but I didn't think that included secrets about the family. What's worse is that I was actually starting to think you cared. Moment of truth, Bruce. When did you know? Bruce simply asks, does it matter?
To me it does! Did you know when you adopted me that I was being trained for something terrible? That maybe you could use those skills for your own benefit in your crusade for Gotham?
Dick takes a long, frustrated sigh. Did you ever actually care? Or was I only ever a tool for Batman? There's a long silence as Bruce tries to figure out that answer for himself.
I didn't know at the time everything that went down here.
I didn't see you as some dangerous weapon. The night your parents died, I saw the same thing I see every day when I look in the mirror. That night, I saw a scared, confused boy who lost his whole world in an instant. A boy angry and bitter that needed vengeance on those that took everything from him. Dick snaps back.
So what? You take me in and you teach me everything you know so that someday I could end up just like you?
So that you don't. There's a long pause as neither man knows what to say next, before Bruce finally breaks the silence.
You've done a decent job fixing this place, but I still see some areas that could use some work. Need any help?
As Bruce offers out his hand. Dick hesitates for a minute, before shaking Bruce's hand as the two men start to work together on repairing the circus, and by extension, their relationship. The next night, with Dick and Bruce finally on the same page at last, they work out their big strategy to finally taking down the Court of Owls. As Bruce is working on the computer, Dick is off to the side working on some project. Dick mentions how the court kept saying something about ushering in a new era for Gotham, so clearly they have something big planned. Bruce asks if there's any specific way that Dick thinks that the court would attack, citing that a single talon can't overthrow a city by itself. It's then that Dick realizes something that connects everything. Remember when we found Tony Zuko? Before they killed him, the court had him filled with hallucinogens to make him seem crazy so he wouldn't go blabbing. Well, when we fought Talon again and got separated, I got hit with that same stuff and it completely took me out. What are the odds the court can replicate that on a large scale? Throw the city into utter chaos only to save it and make themselves the heroes. Bruce then looks into all large industrial facilities that have been abandoned over the past few decades that may be able to be used without detection. After some digging, all but one location meets the needed requirements. A supposedly abandoned chemical plant on the edge of Gotham. As our heroes get prepared for the final fight, Dick tells Bruce there's something he's going to need. Bruce cracks a slight smile as he sees Dick putting the finishing touches on his project. Having overcome his physical and mental challenges, Dick is finally ready to pick up the mantle of the Nightwing suit once again. However, remember that his original black and blue suit he left behind in Bloodhaven. Instead, Dick is now sporting his iconic black and bright blue suit from DC Rebirth. It's a little on the nose, but Dick Grayson has now been reborn as a new, better Nightwing, and we have a suit to visually represent that. With our dynamic duo now suited and ready to fight, we get a little bit of fan service from me and me alone as we recreate that iconic cover of Batman 615 with Batman and Nightwing running side by side as equals. The two arrive at the creepy abandoned facility, expecting to take the court by surprise. However, as has been the case so far, the court is one step ahead and knew our heroes would find them. The court is once again gathered around an open area,
with Talon standing next to the head of the court.
Welcome again, Mr. Wayne, Mr. Grayson. Join us for the dawning of the new era of Gotham,
says the head of the court. We appreciate the sentiment and all, but Gotham is just fine as is. Well, give or take some things, Dick says sarcastically.
Mr. Grayson, we are mere minutes away from the court once again ruling Gotham. But since we are merciful, we shall offer you one last chance at redemption. Do you accept your destiny and take up your role as the right hand of the court?
Talon looks at the head of the court, then back to Nightwing. You know, you make a tempting offer, but I'm gonna have to turn you down. Never been the biggest believer in destiny. The head of the court looks frustrated and annoyed.
You will regret that decision, boy. You could have been the greatest Talon in our history, helped us accomplish new wonders. But no matter, like so many before you, when one weapon is dulled or defective, we simply craft another one. For now, we shall make do.
Suddenly, the head of the court is stabbed from behind, killing him instantly. When the body falls, the culprit is revealed to be Talon.
I am neither dulled nor defective. The true strength of the court has never been in its head, but its claws that strike the throat of those that oppose it.
Talon then commands the remaining court members to go down to the device they are using and protect it for a few more minutes before it goes off. Batman and Nightwing look at each other, deciding what the play should be. Go after them and shut down the device. I need to handle this, Nightwing tells Batman. Batman looks at Nightwing for a brief moment before giving a half nod of encouragement/pride. Now all alone, Nightwing gets ready to square off against his deadly adversary. Having now faced his opponent several times and with the pressure of a ticking clock, Nightwing is able to put up more of a fight this time around. The two slug it out with each fighter landing hard hit after hard hit. But despite his best efforts, Nightwing is starting to lose the fight, seemingly not finding the right strategy to beat Talon.
You couldn't even beat me when your mentor was here, so how do you expect to beat me without him?
Says Talon condescendingly. With that taunt, the light bulb goes off in Nightwing's head. Lucky for you, Batman wasn't the only mentor that taught me how to fight. Nightwing then cheap shots the gloating Talon while he was distracted, and proceeds to ambush his opponent with a flurry of strikes. Understanding what he has to do, Dick goes on the offensive, adopting the fighting style that Deathstroke taught him. Except this time, Dick remains in control of his emotions, no longer clouded by anger and bitterness. Nightwing and Talon are now more evenly matched than ever, with Talon becoming the one on the back foot. With a swift counter, Nightwing is able to throw Talon across the room. We then see in a quick montage, a flashback to Dick's days in the circus with his parents. We see them happy and smiling together one last time as Dick hears the voice of his father. What do you say, kiddo? Are you ready to fly? With every ounce of energy he has left, Nightwing takes to the skies. Swinging through the air, he finally uses the move from his childhood, the Phoenix Flight, to put his opponent down for good, bringing everything full circle. However, Nightwing doesn't get much time to celebrate as the building starts to collapse. Nightwing rushes to find Batman, who tells him that while he's able to stop the device, there was a kill switch that set off a self-destruct for the entire building. Because of course there's a self-destruct. Nightwing runs back to save Talon, but the building falls apart all around him, trapping Talon, and for all intents and purposes, it's what's gonna kill him off. Our dynamic duo has to quickly make their escape before the entire structure comes crashing down and they meet the same fate as Talon. The two heroes barely make their escape as the chemical plant crumbles to the ground. A few days later, Dick is packing up his things to leave for Bloodhaven. Just like how our trilogy started with Dick leaving for Bloodhaven, it ends with him leaving for Bloodhaven. Except the difference this time compared to the first movie we pitched is that Bruce is there to see him off this time. I know touchy-feely isn't really our thing, but I just want to say thanks. When I came back, I didn't know what was next for me or where I belong. Now I do, Dick says. You'll always have a place here, but Bloodhaven needs you more. They should be proud to have a hero like you. I know I'm proud of you, Bruce says. Dick can't help but get a huge smile hearing that, finally getting Bruce's seal of approval. You know, I never liked the idea of Batman working alone. You get all mopey and stuff. Maybe it's time to pass the psychic mantle to someone else. Just something to consider, Dick jokingly says as he starts to drive away. We then cut to a rooftop in Bloodhaven, where we see Dick's old partner at the police department, Amy Rohrbach. She's looking over a random case file when she hears a familiar voice. So, what'd I miss, Officer Rohrbach? Nightwing says. It's Lieutenant now, and quite a bit. While you were on vacation, Blockbuster was released. On good behavior, and nothing about it seems above boards. I can't officially look into anything myself, but maybe somebody else can? Off the books? Amy responds. So back to work then, Nightwing says as he gets ready to investigate. As he gets ready to leave, Amy says, oh, by the way, it's good to have you back. Nightwing cracks a smile as he takes to the skies. As he does, we see that his suit has one last surprise in it. The classic Nightwing wings. The blue wings pop out of the new suit and almost gives the illusion of flying. Well, that's how I would pitch a Nightwing Trilogy Finale, that overarching narrative and overall storyline for a Nightwing Trilogy. What did you guys think? What parts worked for you? What parts didn't? What would you tweak? What would you keep? What are your overall thoughts? How would you book a Nightwing Trilogy if we ever got a trilogy of Nightwing movies on the big screen? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, as I care from you guys. And as always, if you like what you see and want to see more, subscribe to the channel. And as always, stay sharp, movie guys and gals.